Okay, they were going to be predicting on how every team will do in 2023. So this is going to be a rough estimate of how good I think the team is going to do next year. So I have 14 or more wins, 11 to 13 wins, 8 to 10 wins, 5 to 7 wins, and then 4 or less wins. The first team, the Cincinnati Bengals. I can't say they got better during the offseason or the draft. They did bring in Orlando Brown, which should definitely help their line, which was very mediocre last year. But they did lose Jesse Bates, and I think their secondary will struggle a little bit. Um, with a couple of key guys like Bates leaving. And their run game is kind of dead right now. And they're in a really tough division, so I'm gonna predict them go 11-6 next year. And they don't usually do well against the division because it's how tough it is. Then you have the New England Patriots. Similar to the Bengals, their division is really tough. Probably have the talent-wise, probably the worst talent in terms of AFC East. But with Bill Belichick, their defense is always going to be good, and with Bill O'Brien, it should be better. Offense theoretically should be better, but their schedule in general is just so tough this year. I think they're going to go 8-9 again. New Orleans Saints. Um, Team is good. Paper wise, it's good. Their defense was good, but not great last year, and their offense was was not great last year. And I don't, I don't think Derek Carr is going to do good at the Saints. Okay, I don't think last year the quarterbacks were the problem in New Orleans. I don't think Derek Carr will be the solution this year. I have them go. I think Dennis Allen is a bigger problem, and I think Derek Carr flops in New Orleans, so I'm gonna make them go 7. I think they'll go 7-10 again. Pittsburgh Steelers, defense pretty much always a good defense with Mike Tomlin. Offense, I wish they made more improvements on their offensive line, and their skill weapons are good. Running game could be better. This is all about Kenny Pickett progressing, and I'm not sure how well he's gonna progress because, um, I think they got rid of Canada, so um, they're always going to have a winning record, and I think they're going to make a push, but their division is also very tough. I'll make them go 9-8. You have San Francisco 49ers. Um, Really, it's their quarterback. Everything else is great. They did lose both coordinators again, or their defensive coordinator again, which could be problematic, but their defense is so talented, I don't think it'll matter. People with like Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, I don't think it'll matter. Their offense, Christian McCaffrey's there, George Kittle's there, but their quarterbacks, I think they may be stuck starting Sam Darnold or Trey Lance. I think Purdy's injury is going to hold him back for at least like half the season. So that's definitely going to cost them. But their team is so talented right now that they'll win despite of their quarterback situation. But they probably won't win 14 games. I'm gonna say they go 12-5 next year. Arizona Cardinals, they're going to be dumpster fire. They fired Kingsbury, hired one of the Eagles coordinators. Kyle Murray's probably not playing. Their team just sucky all the way around them. They're probably going to win like 3 games, go like 3-14. And then you have the Falcons. They got Bijan Robinson. That should help their run game. Desmond Ridder, I'm not sure how well he'll do. But I know their run game will always be good and definitely carry that offense. Um, then they have a really weak NFC South, and their defense. I don't think they did enough with a terrible defense last year. It should improve to be like a mediocre defense, but I don't think they're gonna transform overnight. Um, 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 I think they'll go 9-8 next year. Ravens, they got Lamar Jackson. That's good. Defense, cornerback is such a big weakness, but defense was a strength last year. I think as long as they stay healthy, it'll be a strength this year, especially with that linebacker core with Queen and Roquan Smith and Hamilton becoming better. I think they'll mask cornerbacks for a while. Offense, wide receivers, pretty much like every other year. So I'm gonna put them in 10-7. Buffalo Bills. Um, Similarly, all these contending teams have a very similar roster throughout. Um, I like the Bills. They did better on the offensive line. Their defense, I think, still needs some work, especially in the back end. The secondary might be a little banged up, especially White and Poyer might, or was it the other safety? I don't remember. Josh Allen, he does have a stretch of games where he's not that good, and the run game has been non-existent for a while. But Josh Allen is still there. They're gonna win a lot of games, but competition's a lot better. So I'm gonna put them 11-6 too. 11-6. And then you have the Panthers. I like their defense. I think they're a young defense, definitely getting better. Bryce Young, I don't think he's gonna go there and light it up. Um, Frank Wright is a good head coach. I think they'll definitely improve from last year, but teams, I'm worried about their offensive line. Their running game is also very worrisome, even with Miles Sanders back. I think their offense is definitely going to struggle a little bit, especially at first. Their defense has the talent, still young, but hasn't really broken out like many expected last year. So I'm put them at 9-8. Bears, Bears brought in talent, brought in DJ Moore. Their defense is definitely a work in progress. The offensive line is a work in progress. Nothing settled yet, and I think they'll go 5-12. Better than last year, but too many pieces. Browns, Browns have a talented roster, but offense is almost all hinges on how Deshaun Watson goes, and I think the Browns secondary is such a big weakness. Even signing Juan Thornhill, I still think their cornerback needs depth, and linebackers aren't that good. I think there's other than their defensive line, which also could use some depth. Defense, I think, is definitely sketchy, especially if injuries come, and I think the offense is too over reliant um, on Deshaun Watson doing well. And I know people have the Browns doing good, but I'm gonna go out of the ring and say they're gonna go 7-10. Then you have the Cowboys. Cowboys have all the talent in the world right now. Brought in even more defensive pieces to an already really good defense in the draft. And their offense, they did lose a couple of pieces in the offensive line, but replaced them with just as good people. Of it, skill players are still there. I think the run game might struggle with Pollard coming back from injury. Dak Prescott is always going to have a few games, which I think will keep them going from 14 plus. But I do think they're going to go 13-4. Broncos, I like Sean Payton. I think he's a great addition. They signed a bunch of people on offensive line. Defense hopefully is good, but they did get rid of their defensive coordinator. I think it's gonna flip flop this year. The Broncos offense is going to take a step forward while the defense takes a step back. So I just I'm so I so I have them going 10-7. Lions made major improvements with their defense. Cornerbacks bringing Sutton, Gardner for the safety. Defensive line could use some star players, but they have young players that are probably going to superstar level soon. Offense is still good. Offensive line is still good. They brought in Gibbs, Goff. As long as I think Goff might hold them back, but Goff should do well. Receivers could use some depth, especially with the suspensions, but I think they'll do good next year, especially with the weak division to compete with. I think I have them going 12-5. Titans, um, their defensive team right now, and defensive teams with no offense just don't work out that well. They're over reliant on offense. It's just Derrick Henry right now. Their receivers are so bad. Ryan Tannehill will be Ryan Tannehill. He's gonna be like average, but nothing spectacular. I think they're gonna be bad, but my variable's gonna keep them from winning 4 or less games. I think they're gonna go 6-11. You have the Packers. Oh, this one's so dependent on how Jordan Love does. Team, I wouldn't say got better from last year, but definitely did not get worse. Drafted a few tight ends. Defense pretty much the same. They didn't really sign anybody in free agency. It's all on Jordan Love, and Jordan Love is like a step worse than Rodgers. I have the Packers finishing a 7-10. Houston Texans. Roster got better, but still not that good. I don't really trust the coach. Too many new pieces. I have them going 4-13. I know people think they're going to be like a potential playoff contender. I just don't see it. Colts similarly, people have them rated pretty high. I just don't see it. I have them going 5-12. Jacksonville Jaguars didn't really improve much, but they're just trusting that second year system with Doug Peterson. They definitely play better throughout the season. Trevor Lawrence should improve. ETN should improve. But defense, they didn't really make any additions, so I'll have them go 10-7. And then City Chiefs, they did lose a couple of wide receivers. They lose their safety, but it's Andy Reid. I won't ever doubt them. They still have Kelsey. They still have Mahomes. Offensive line should pretty much, I think Orlando Brown signed with the Bengals and them bringing in Joanne should be a wash. Pacheco should be in his second year, should be even better. I have them going 14-3 again. Rams are in a total dumpster fire right now. I think they're going to tank next year. I think they're going to have one of the worst record. bold prediction, they're gonna have the number 1 draft pick next year. They're gonna go 3-14. Then you have the Chargers, pretty much like they're always. Pretty much last year, I think they're just banking on people getting healthier again. They didn't really make any big improvements, so I'm gonna put them in 10-7, like last year. Then you have the Dolphins. Bringing in Vic Fangio was a huge addition. So was Jalen Ramsey. Their offensive line could still use some major work, and Tua, not sure if he's going to stay healthy at all or bring them to the second level, but their run game should be improving with the running back they drafted. Wide receivers are the same. Defense should have massive improvements, although it might take till the second half of the season, so I'm going to have them go 11-6. Vikings, offense pretty much stayed the same. They brought in Addison, and Dalvin Cook may be leaving. If Dalvin Cook leaves, I think their running game is going to take a little drop. And their defense, they did bring in Flores, but I don't think Flores has enough talent on the defense to utilize them. And since they were so heavy on the close games, they just aren't going to get as lucky as last year. So I have them going 8-9. Then you have the Giants. Similar, they brought in Darren Waller. I wish they improved their defense a little bit more, offensive line a little bit more, but they did bring in Darren Waller as a skill position player. I thought they'd do more during free agency. I'm not sure if Saquon's going to be there, and I'm going to go bold prediction here. I think they're going to do worse than they did last year, 8-9 also. Then you have the New York Jets. Aaron Rodgers should be a huge addition. Their defense should be just as good with Robert Saleh still as head coach. And a lot of young pieces. I'm worried about their offensive line. Not sure how they're going to get back from injury. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to get sacked way too many times, and he's going to be like a check down heavy. Skill position players are good. Run game, I'm also worried about. Breece Hall's coming off a major injury. I don't think people realize how big ACLs are still. So I have them going 9-8. Then you have the Raiders. They're just not a good team. Garoppolo is one step lower than Derek Carr. They didn't really do anything. Defense still trash. Josh McDaniels still there. They're gonna go 6-11. Seahawks, they should improve a little bit. They brought in that JSN, the draft. Their defense, they're banking on people making a second-year jump. So I do see them improving, and I trust Sean Payton. I'm gonna go out and say they're gonna go 11-6 and compete with the Niners for the division. Tampa Bay Buck, I think they're gonna be one of the worst. I do not trust Todd Bowles whatsoever. I'm gonna make them go 5-11. They do have some skill position on wide receiver, but that's it. Eagles, they brought in all the talent. They got better during the draft. Jalen Hurts is still there. Offensive line is still great. Offense is pretty much still good. The defense improved. I think they're gonna go 15-2. Commanders, they really didn't do anything. Sam Howell starting, not sure how he's gonna do. I think they're gonna go 7-10. So there you have it, my record predictions for 2023.